Welcome! In front of me is a brand new Google Pixel 9, and today I'll go over unboxing and look a quick look at the phone itself. So, getting straight into it, we do have these kind of like pull tabs at the bottom. There we go. Just a little bit of a flare from the previous versions. Need to differentiate from Apple. There we go. Packaging wise, it's the same kind of, we care about the environment bogus by the looks of it. Separating the two halves, we have some paperwork at the top. Come on. I'd like to get out without ripping. It's just cable, so I'm just gonna keep it in there. And below here we have our charging cable, Type-C to Type-C, neatly placed right below the phone. And the phone itself. Now more and more Pixel starts to resemble an iPhone to me. Now it has these kind of frame that just looks straight ripped from iPhone, but we still have this nice visor. Some people might not be the biggest fan of it. I personally do like it, as it gives you this nice not wobbly phone when you place it down, so that's pretty cool. And in general, the phone looks actually really nice. I do have to point that out. The back glass is glass. Surprisingly enough, it's kind of resistant to fingerprints. You can see it's not even visible. That's pretty cool. So yeah, it does feel premium. Now let's talk about the display. So that's what we're going to be looking at most of the time, so let's get into it. And the display right here is a 6.3 inch in size, 1080 by 2424 pixels. It is a OLED display running a 120 Hz resolution, HDR10 plus certification, and a peak brightness of a whopping 2700 nits. We also have an 86.1% screen to body ratio and a pixel density of 422 pixels per inch, covered with a Color Glass Victus. Now I also want to point out, I'm going to the specs, all the specs that I'm getting are straight from GSM Arena, so I highly recommend checking out their website. They do have a really nice clean layout for all this kind of info. Now, the display out of the way, let's flip it over and talk about the cameras, as this is a Pixel, so that's probably one of the things that you're going to be using quite often. So the main sensor right here is a 50 megapixel f1.7 aperture 25mm wide lens that supports dual pixel PDAF, single zoom lens autofocus, and optical image stabilization. Then we get a 48 megapixel f1.7 aperture 123 degree ultra wide lens with dual pixel PDAF. And we can record videos at 4K up to 60 frames, 1080p up to 60 with slow motion of 120 and 240, supporting gyroscopic electronic image stabilization, optical image stabilization, and also HDR, HDR and 10-bit. So there we go. And then at the front we have a selfie. You can see it right here, and that houses a 10.5 megapixel f2.2 aperture 20mm ultra wide lens that can record also at 4K up to 60 frames and 1080p up to 60 frames. Pretty cool. Now, continuing on into the internals, just quickly grab my phone. I want to check something out. Just give it a quick little swipe. Okay, so this phone is a little bit bigger than what I have. The reason I'm looking at it is because it has a smaller battery size at 4700 milliamp hours. Now it does support also wireless 15 watts charging and 27 wired charging, which for what should have been what I would consider a premium phone, this is a pretty measly charging speeds. Like, they don't really stand out whatsoever. 27 is just shy of the shittiest flagship charging speeds that are on the market, which Samsung takes that crown with their $1,900 foldable devices that do 24, I think, or 22 watts charging, which is just like an absolute middle finger from Samsung, I would say. This one is just a little bit over that, because they didn't want to be put in the same ballpark as Samsung. So yeah, that's one thing. let's see, do we have any kind of charging speeds? And we do. So 27 watts using power delivery 3.0. It's advertised that you're gonna get 55% of battery in 30 minutes, and that's not really that great. In 30 minutes there are phones that can get to 100%, and keep in mind that the half point is basically the easy part. So after the half point, the device usually slows down in charging to kind of prevent the battery from overheating and doing all that stuff. So if they wanted to give you, full time to 100%, that's probably going to be more than an hour, probably like hour and a half, I would be guessing. So it's a bit of a kind of scam with the charging speeds right here, and getting only like the 30 minutes, because after that point, charging slows down. So yeah. And like I said, there are phones that can literally get to 100% in at this time that it takes this phone to get to 50 or 55 more precisely. So charging wise, it's not necessarily the greatest. And continuing on with this, there is no advertised wireless charging speeds, but it's 15 watts. And honestly, it's something that you're probably gonna put your phone down on a specific location and have it charged, and you're not really gonna be paying attention to it. So I would honestly argue that charging speeds for wireless charging is not as important, as you're just gonna, for instance, sit by the desk, place your phone on a little puck, which, let's see if I can find mine. I do have a under the table charging, assuming it's plugged in, and it actually might not be. Nope, it is. So I'm just struggling with finding it. Oh, it is, I think, charging. Yeah. The icon looks a little bit different. I do want to kind of find it now. Ah, there we go. You can see it's charging and disappears. So yeah, I was just struggling with finding the little location. Like I said, I do have it under the table. You don't see it right here at all because it's from the other side, and there's nothing here that actually signifies that there's a Qi charger under here. So I do usually have to, like, move it around till I find the location. That's why it was taking me a bit the wrong direction. Let's just zoom back in. Okay, now last thing to probably mention would be the price tag of this device, and it is, I would say, substantial for a non-pro device. That's what it was, right? Yeah, this is a non-pro device. So with that being said, we are looking at a price tag of $799, or almost 900 euros. Now, $799 is obviously without tax. So adding tax, you're probably gonna be closer to 900 then, and that is a steep price to ask for supposedly a purest Android experience. Now, it is with Pixel. It does have Pixel, what you could call, I guess, experience, with a bunch of Google's addition to the OS that just makes it nicer, just improvements in general for usability. But I like to personally look at the hardware itself, and the hardware doesn't really stand out that much. It's nothing like super out there. It comes with 12 gigabytes of RAM, which I didn't mention, and Google Tensor G4 processor. And just to go into that, that's a octa-core processor running one of the cores at 3.1 gigahertz, Cortex X4. Then 3 of the cores are running at 2.6 gigahertz, Cortex A720. And then 4 additional cores, the last remaining ones, are running at 1.92 gigahertz, and these are the Cortex A520. And the GPU is a Mali G715 in here. So that's basically all the specs for this. And with that being said, the reason I do have a problem with this device at this price range is because it is, in certain cases, a little bit underwhelming. So the charging speed, the battery size right here are just on the lower side. The storage for almost $900 for something that isn't even Pro, it comes with 128 gigabytes of storage. I personally would probably like to see 256 as a starting point and maybe 8 gigs of RAM rather than 12. 12 gigs, you will never use it. So that's one thing. Now it could be the virtual memory. It's not really specified anymore. I don't think the manufacturers do specify this all that well. Some do, but if it's using virtual memory, then this device doesn't even have 12 gigs, which I don't think that's the case right here. It's usually written somehow that it's like, 4 plus 8 or something like that. So I don't think that's the trickery that they're doing right here. I think it's just straight up 12 gigs of RAM, though I could be wrong. But like I said, it could have been lowered and more storage, as there is no expandable storage in this device, nor the other ones as well. So even if you go for the biggest size, if the explanation is that it's a constraint of the size, then the Pro XL also doesn't have any kind of expandable storage. And stupidly enough, Pro XL comes with also 128 gigs storage, but instead it has 16 gigabytes of RAM. Like, you ever gonna need more RAM than a MacBook Pro has? So yeah, the amounts of RAM right here are just pointless. They're there just to kind of, fool the people. I don't think Android needs anything more than 8, I believe. I could be wrong about this. I personally have 6 gigabytes on my phone. It is a dated phone, but I don't really notice the need for anything more. I used a phone that had 12 and still didn't really notice any kind of RAM difference there. So yeah, I think the amount of RAM is just pointless right here. I do want to give credit where credit is due. The build quality feels really nice, even though it's copying Apple. It does feel nice, and if you're gonna copy someone, I guess copy someone that has a nice build quality, and this one does. It feels really nice in hand. It feels premium. Like I said, I like the visor. One thing to keep in mind, if you're planning to protect the visor with like some tempered glass that you can stick on here, some of the tempered glasses don't have a cutout for the microphone that is right here. Do keep that in mind. I did buy one that didn't cover it, or that covered this, and obviously it covers a microphone at the back that's used when you record videos. So yeah. One more thing that I didn't mention, we have under display fingerprint sensor, though obviously it's not going to be showing up right now, but yeah, it's here. So there we go, that's the Pixel 9. It's, to be very objective here, it's a good device. I personally find it to be a little bit overpriced, but it's still a really good device. It is powerful. It has a decent amount of RAM. In terms of storage, it's using good storage, UFS 3.1. Camera wise, again, good. It's running obviously the newest Android, so nothing really surprising there. One thing that I didn't mention as well is the support for this device is up to 7 major Android upgrades. So yeah, you're gonna basically be set for up until like Android 21. So that's pretty cool. Display right here also really good display. So all in all, it's a really nice package. I just find that considering this is not a Pro version of this device or even XL, I feel like the price is just a little bit too much. The companies have been, in my opinion, just pushing too much into, like, cranking up the prices with a bullshit excuse of inflation. Cool, inflation exists, but it doesn't exist at the rates that they're pumping out phones at right now. So for instance, the XL is going for nearly 1,200 euros. That is a bonkers price. So yeah. If I look at this phone without the price, price isn't really an object to me, then it's a fantastic phone, probably one that I really wouldn't mind using. But if I want to look at other alternatives that offer me better value for my money, I will probably go for something like CMF Phone 1, and that is basically a mid-range device, or probably one of the Poco phones like the X6 or F6, as these come with nearly flagship grade processors from Dimensity, one of them, I don't recall which one, and basically offer everything that we want from a phone at almost half the price. So yeah, that's kind of my approach to this. Anyway, if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.